Welcome to another podcast of the Riffle series. The Riffle podcast series brought to you by 10 Leaves.
It's great to be back.
And today is, let me just check, Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. Now, if you're working in a financial firm in the ADGM, the Abu Dhabi global market, you might be feeling a slightly different energy this week.
Just a little bit.
Maybe the compliance team's walking a bit faster, or, the IT director looks just a little more tired than usual. That's because, as of just a few days ago, the entire landscape of how we handle, report, and frankly survive a cyber crisis in the ADGM has just fundamentally shifted.
It really has. We're looking at a brand new notice from the Financial Services Regulatory Authority, the FSRA, specifically notice number FSRA FCT 22-2026.
It doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, does it?
No, regulatory notices rarely do. But the title is what's important. Updates to information technology, IT, and cyber incident reporting. And with this, they've also dropped two new reporting templates, Template A and Template B.
Okay, let's just pause right there, because I know what some of you are probably thinking. Great, more forms, more bureaucracy.
More boxes to check.
Exactly, and it's so tempting to just file this away as, administrative hygiene.
And that would be a huge mistake.
Right, because when I started digging into the stack of papers you sent over, I realized this isn't just about paperwork. This is a complete overhaul of crisis management. The regulator isn't just asking for a report anymore. They're forcing a specific behavior.
Yes.
They're demanding speed, and they're demanding transparency while the smoke is still clearing.
That is the perfect way to put it. This paperwork, it's designed to be the difference between a contained fire in the kitchen and the entire neighborhood burning down.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really decode these new rules. What does this actually mean for the people on the ground? The SEOs, the compliance officers, the tech teams, we've got the notice, we've got the templates. So where do we even begin?
I think we have to start with the why now question. This didn't just happen in a vacuum. If you zoom out, these changes are directly aligning with the new cyber risk management rules, or CRM rules, under GEM 3.5.
Which also just went live, right?
Correct. Those rules came into effect on January 31st, 2026. So literally last Saturday, we were in week 1 of this new regime.
Wow, fresh paint.
Very fresh. And it's not just an internal ADGM decision. The notice explicitly references the Financial Stability Board's update from back in April 2025. So this is the ADGM signaling that they are, lockstep with global best practices.
They want to be seen as a fortress.
Exactly. And to do that, you need world-class reporting standards.
Okay, so the rules are live. The context is global stability. Now, let's get to the part that I think is going to cause the most anxiety for people, the timeline.
The timeline is the headline story here.
So walk us through the change, because we used to have a rule that just said report immediately, didn't we?
Yes. Under the old rule, GEN 8.2007,
you
had to notify immediately. And, well, you and I both know that immediately can be a very subjective word in the corporate world.
Oh, yeah. Immediately usually means after I've had 3 coffees, called my lawyer and figured out if I can fix it myself.
Precisely. It was wide open to interpretation. But this new rule under GEN 3.5.18, it creates a hard boundary. They call it a 24-hour backstop.
A backstop? That sounds rigid.
It is, but the nuance is really fascinating. The rule still says you must notify the FSRA immediately upon discovery of a suspected material cyber incident.
Right.
But, and this is the kicker, it adds, in any event, no later than 24 hours after you become aware of information that reasonably suggests such an incident has occurred.
Wait, hold on. Reasonably suggests. That's a very specific and I'd say slightly dangerous choice of words.
It's a trapdoor for anyone who wants to hesitate.
Because that implies I don't need to be sure.
You do not.
Okay, let's play this out. It's 2 a.m. on a Saturday. I'm the IT director. I see a server acting weirdly. Maybe some data is moving where it shouldn't. It could be a glitch.
Right.
But it reasonably suggests a breach, so the clock starts then.
The clock starts then. If a reasonable professional in your shoes would suspect an incident, you are on that timer. You do not have the luxury of waiting 3 days for a forensic team to fly in and give you a 100% confirmation.
That puts immense pressure on the decision-making chain. I mean, 24 hours is nothing in a crisis. You can spend the first 6 hours just trying to get the SEO on a secure call.
It forces a communicate first, investigate later mentality. And that is exactly what the FSRA is trying to engineer. They want to know during the chaos, not after.
They want the raw alert, not the polished PR statement 3 weeks later.
Exactly. They want to be in the room while you're fighting the fire.
So, okay, sticking with our stressed out IT director. It's Saturday, you suspect a breach, you have to hit the panic button. In this new world, that panic button is template A.
Correct. Template A. Technically, it's the IT and cyber incident initial report.
I'm calling it the 911 call. This is the break glass in case of emergency document.
That's a fair analogy.
Yeah.
The notice describes it as streamlined. It's designed to be fast. You fill it out and you email it to incidents.fsra@adgm.com.
And this is a crucial detail. You have to copy your FSRA lead supervisor.
Yes. You can't just shout into a generic inbox. You need to alert your specific human contact. Now, when you open this template, there's a small detail that I think shows how serious they are. The incident reference number.
Oh, I saw this. You can't just write incident 1.
No. It's a formula. You take the date of the report, year, month, day, and combine it with your firm's 9-digit license number.
It's like a VIN number for a car crash.
That's it. It creates a unique, searchable ID from minute 1. This is going into a database, and it will be tracked.
So you've got your reference number. You're staring at template A. What are they actually asking for in these first 24 hours? Because if I'm panicking, the last thing I can do is write an essay.
Well, Section 2 is where the rubber meets the road. Incident details. And the first thing they ask for is a timeline comparison. They want the discovery date and time and the actual date and time the incident occurred.
That gap can be a career-ending gap.
We call that dwell time.
Right. If I have to write down that I discovered the breach today, but the actual incident happened a month ago,
then you are admitting, in writing, to your regulator that attackers were walking around inside your digital house for a full month before you noticed.
that is terrifying. It exposes your monitoring capabilities before you've even explained what happened.
Exactly. Sets the tone. Then they ask for the discovery method. How did you find out? Was it a malware alert? Did a staff member notice something weird? Or the worst case scenario?
The ransom note on the screen.
The ransom note. Or even worse, a customer complaint.
Oh, man. Imagine having to check the box that says customer notified us. That means the money's gone or the data's already out there.
It's a humble pie moment, but you have to be honest. Then you categorize the incident. Unscheduled outage, cyber attack, data leak. But under cyber attack, there's a text box that I think is the most revolutionary part of this form.
I think I know which one you mean. It's the intelligence field.
Yes.
Sure.
Provide any shareable intelligence on the cyber attack and the threat actor.
Okay, well, let's play devil's advocate. I'm 12 hours into a crisis. I barely know what's happening. How am I supposed to provide intelligence?
You know more than you think. They don't want a full dossier. They want indicators of compromise, IOCs.
So, like, IP addresses.
IP addresses, domain names, the malware hash, things you can find quickly.
And why do they want that now?
Because of the ecosystem. This is the neighborhood watch concept. If you're being hit by a specific attack from a specific IP, the FSRA can take that intel and warn every other bank in the ADGM. Block this IP immediately.
That's actually a really powerful shift. It changes the dynamic from I am a victim and I'm ashamed to we are under attack and I can help defend the others.
Exactly. It promotes herd immunity. If you hoard that information because you're scared of looking bad, you're letting the attacker move next door.
Okay, so template A is speed and community warning. It also asks about immediate impact, customer impact, and there's one more question that caught my eye. Media or social media coverage observed.
Yes, the Twitter test.
They want to know if it's trending on X before you've even finished the report.
Reputational risk travels fast. If people are tweeting about your downtime, the FSRA needs to know they're about to get calls from journalists. They don't want to be blindsided.
So you've sent off template A, you made the 24-hour backstop, you've warned the regulator, you can breathe a sigh of relief, right?
Hardly. Now the real work begins. Now you move from notification to investigation. And that brings us to the second document, template B.
The progressive report.
This is the autopsy. Or, since the patient is still alive, maybe it's the live surgery. This isn't a one-and-done form. The notice is clear. The FSRA supervisor will determine how often you send this. Could be daily, could be weekly.
Depending on how big the fire is.
Exactly. And if template A was the 911 call, template B is the deep forensic interview. It asks the questions that are really going to hurt.
I was looking through it, and the level of detail is intimidating. It asks things like, has the firm identified the actors involved and the motive?
That's a deep question.
Oh.
Are you dealing with a criminal gang, a state actor, or an insider?
The insider threat. Imagine having to report that. We have identified the actor, and it's Dave from accounting.
That changes the whole conversation. It's not just a tech failure. It's a culture and vetting failure.
But there's another question in there that I think connects back to that herd immunity idea. It asks, Is the firm aware of any contagion effect the incident may have on the ADGM or other ADGM firms?
The contagion question, this is crucial. The FSRA's mandate isn't just to protect your company, it's to protect the stability of the entire financial center.
They're worried about the dominoes.
Precisely. If you're a major clearinghouse or you provide a service that 10 other firms rely on and you go down,
Right.
you might take them with you.
Or if you share a vendor. If your payroll provider is hacked.
Right. You are not an island. You're a node in a network. Template B forces you to look outside your own walls.
And then we get to the money. The detailed impact analysis. This section looked brutal. You have to grade the impact: severe, moderate, mild across financial, operational, reputational, and legal.
And you can't just check a box. If you look at the fields for client assets, it demands specifics. Number of clients affected, and amount of client assets affected in USD equivalent.
USD equivalent. That implies you need to be doing forensic accounting in real time. How do you even calculate that?
They have to estimate, and that's stressful. But then look at the next question. What amount of contingency funding was required to cover current and potential future losses?
Ouch. That's the regulator asking, did you have to dip into your savings to survive this?
It's a solvency check disguised as an IT report. They need to know if this hack is going to bankrupt you.
It really blurs the line between IT security and financial viability.
They were always the same thing, but this form makes it explicit.
And then at the very end of template B, there's a sting in the tail, a final question that feels like kicking you while you're down.
I know the one. Describe any breaches to ADGM and FSRA rules resulting from the incident.
That is so harsh. Hey, I know you just got hacked, but did you also happen to break our capital requirement rules?
It is harsh, but it's necessary. A cyber event is almost never just a cyber event. If you lose access to data, you might miss a reporting deadline. That's a breach.
So you are essentially forced to incriminate yourself on the form.
You're engaging in mandatory self-disclosure. And trust me, it is far better to disclose it here than to hide it and have the regulator find it 6 months later.
Okay. So we've got the 911 call, template A. We've got the progressive autopsy, template B. But the notice also reminds you that the FSRA isn't the only call you need to make.
Correct. The notice lists broader obligations. The FSRA is the financial regulator, not the only authority in the room.
Who else is invited to this terrible party?
Well, almost every incident involves data, so you have to notify the Commissioner of Data Protection.
Okay, standard stuff.
Then, if there are suspicious transactions, say hackers moving money, you have to notify the FIU, the Financial Intelligence Unit.
And if it's just straight up theft?
Then you need to involve the Abu Dhabi police. The don't notice is very clear. Reporting to the FSRA does not absolve you of reporting crimes to law enforcement.
It really highlights how many hats a senior executive has to wear in those first 48 hours. You're the IT manager, the PR spokesperson, you're talking to 3 different regulators, the police.
It is a war room scenario. And honestly, that's why these templates are actually helpful, even if they seem like a burden.
Helpful how?
Because when the sirens are going off, it's easy to lose focus. These templates provide a structure. They tell you what matters: timeline, impact, intelligence, contagion. If you just focus on answering the questions, you're effectively managing the crisis.
That's a good way to look at it. It's a checklist for survival. So for the listeners who are now frantically Googling, where do they find these?
They're on the ADGM website. Look for Financial and Cybercrime Prevention Forms. I would highly suggest downloading them today, keeping them in a folder marked Emergency.
Solid advice. So let's zoom out as we wrap up. What's the big picture here? Why is the ADGM putting us through this drill?
It comes back to that mission statement in the notice: maintaining the integrity, security, and stability of the ADGM's and UAE's financial systems.
It's about trust.
It's about trust, but it's also about agility. The old way of reporting, waiting 2 weeks for a perfect report, is dead. It's too slow for modern cyber warfare.
So by forcing this incremental reporting where we send template B over and over, we're essentially inviting the regulator into the room with us.
Yes, they can assess risk in real time. If they see 5 firms report the same malware hash in 12 hours, they can act. They can stop the contagion.
It turns individual vulnerability into collective resilience.
That is the goal. But it only works if everyone plays by the rules and hits that 24-hour backstop.
Well, when you explain it like that, the paperwork feels a little less like bureaucracy and a little more like, well, a duty.
It's the price of admission for operating in a top-tier financial center.
Okay, so let's recap the main takeaways for everyone listening.
Takeaway 1. The timeline has changed. The new GEN 3.5 rules are live. You have a strict 24-hour backstop to report any suspected material incident. Don't wait for perfection.
Takeaway 2. The templates. Template A is your initial alert focus on speed and shareable intelligence. Template B is your deep dive focus on financial impact, root cause, and contagion.
And takeaway 3. Do not suffer in silence. This whole system is designed to force communication. The regulator wants to know now.
And I want to leave you with one final thought, something that stuck with me from that media coverage question.
Yes.
In a world where news travels faster than a software patch,
Yeah.
are you prepared to tell the regulator exactly how bad the headlines are going to get before they even go to print?
That's the ultimate challenge.
This new regime essentially asks you to be your own breaking news reporter. If you're waiting for a journalist to call you for a comment, you've probably already failed the 24-hour test. You need to control the narrative before the narrative controls you.
A sobering thought to end on.
Indeed. So check your firewalls, download those templates, and maybe buy your CISO a very nice lunch today. They might need it. Thanks for listening to The Riffle.